I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people like fight against higher wages. Why is that exactly?
Well, I'm sure corporations fight against higher wages. That's why they want a bunch of foreigners to take American jobs and keep wages low. Because they don't want to pay their workers because it might decrease their profitability.
So you are pro higher wages?
Of course.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. My name is Elaru, and today I'm back with a video I'll check out with you guys. This is called Charlie Kirk shuts down pro-open borders liberal. Okay? Okay, this is gonna be a tough one. But you know how it goes, guys. We talk less and we react more. Let's check this out.
Hey, my name's Nicholas. I was just wondering, like, what exactly you think about undocumented immigrants? So what would you say about, like, the dairy industry and things like that, which, like, you know, their backs are built off of undocumented immigrants?
Hire American.
Hire American? Yeah, but then we'd have to, like, pay them more because
exactly.
Right now...
We would have to pay them more, and we would see higher wages, and the middle class in America would boom.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people, like, fight against higher wages. Why is that exactly?
Well, I'm sure corporations fight against higher wages. That's why they want a bunch of foreigners to take American jobs and keep wages low. Because they don't want to pay their workers because it might decrease their profitability.
So you are pro higher wages?
Of course.
So
that's why I want people that work in the dairy industry or at Tyson Foods or that work with their hands to be able to flourish and buy a home and have an American way of life that is largely forgotten now for many of them.
So, what do you exactly classify as an American? Like, what if it's someone who did come, like, legally?
U.S. passport holder.
Okay, but even if they, like, came here legally?
Well, I said illegally or...
Legally.
Well, if they came here legally, if they go through a process, they can get a U.S. passport, yeah.
Okay.
Until then, they're a visitor applying to be a member of our very large country.
Okay, so pro higher wages for Americans?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was nice.
There's obviously a lot of bad people coming in illegally through the border, but there's also a lot of good people that want to work hard that can't come legally due to the rampant corruption on the border. In some cases, it can cost up to 200,000 pesos to come in legally, and that's more than a Mexican citizen can make in their entire lifetime. So how can we like sell them the American dream, but not let them in legally, the people that want to do good, not let them in legally to pursue that dream?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they want to do good. Just send them back to their country. I mean, there's a lot of Vietnamese that want to do good and come here, but they don't live close, so they don't border jump.
Ooh.
So, okay.
Hey, this is not their home. Go back to your home and go make Mexico great again.
But they can't necessarily do that while the cartels are running the government.
True.
They have no upward mobility, and we sell them the American dream.
Then go fix your country.
Because that's
not my problem.
Isn't that the point of America, to sell the American dream?
What is the point of America? Is the point to bring in a bunch of foreigners, or is the point to protect our own citizens?
Well,
is it we, the foreigners of the United States?
The foreigners are the ones that became the citizens.
Well, is it? Well, that's the question. Were we founded by immigrants or founded by settlers?
They're the same thing.
No, they're not. Settlers come to something not built. Immigrants come to something already built.
But all the immigrants that came to something already built that are now citizens.
Fair enough. Yeah, they're here.
But now we're still selling that dream, but not allowing them in the proper way.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by selling the dream?
Of the American dream, that's still a huge talking point, and that's still a big claim to fame that we have.
You know, the American dream I want sold is for all American-born kids to be able to own a home and have a family and have kids. I'm sorry if the concern of like a third worlder in Honduras is not my primary concern. Like a whole idea of a government is you put your people first. You don't put the like compassionate narratives of someone in the third world first.
Well,
our country's falling apart. Most of you guys will not be able to own a home. You're going to be swimming in debt, medical debt, student loan debt, credit card debt. We're sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Ukraine. So yeah, we should secure the border and put young people first and fulfill the social contract. Then we can worry about the third world.
Wouldn't letting the individuals that want to come here and work hard and contribute to the country make it better for all American citizens?
Has it?
In the past, yes.
Has it the last 5 years? Have the amount of illegals in this country made the country better for all people?
Well, most of those individuals aren't the good people.
So then if they want to be here so bad, we do have a legal process. So then let's go through the legal process.
But the legal process is almost impossible for most people.
Well, it's impossible for Mongolians too.
Okay.
So either we have an immigration system or we don't, and we're deciding we just let anyone in our country no matter what just because they're poor.
my focus was more on the corruption on the
The corruption's fine. We
immigration
can fix it. That's fine. But my concern is, why do we not put, especially American 18 to 20-year-olds first? You guys get the last of everything. Instead, the abstractions of the regime seem to take priority. So,
Gotcha.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Kirk. I have a disagreement with your take on the border policy.
Okay.
To my understanding, you said we should reduce the immigrant on the border to 0, correct? Well, a little bit about myself. My name is June. I just got out of the Marine Corps. My whole career is about war on terror.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Well, at least that's what they told me when they threw me in Bahrain and told me on standby. I'm all about keeping the terrorists out of the country, but I disagree with you because historically speaking, more than 12,000 Chinese laborers built the railroads for America in the 1800s. Not all of them are documented and legal. Thousands of Irish immigrants built the skyscrapers in New York. Not all of them are documented.
No, they
legal.
did come in legally. That is true. The Irish did, yeah.
But also, back in the 1920s, all the way up to 60s, the government took the legislative act of Barcelo Act that imports millions of Mexican workers for the labor work in this country. And why all of a sudden you want to close it down? And there's almost 0 exposure on the northern border.
Well, there are people crossing on the northern border too, but why do I want to shut it down? They're breaking the law. Should we not have the law that says you can't walk into the country without proper approval?
Well, for the longest time, they can just...
Well, no, hold on. The Irish came
Really?
via Ellis Island.
Okay.
The Czechoslovakians came legally. The Polish came legally. So I don't know what group I mean, the Chinese, I'll take your word for it. I would imagine they came through a port of entry and we knew who they were, but we have no idea who these people are on the southern border. We don't know their background. We don't know why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's 15,000 people a day that are illegally crossing into the country, breaking our laws.
Okay, so for the past 50 years, there hasn't really been a fence or any sort of process to deport them or catch them when they cross
No,
the border.
that's not true. We've had deportations for the last 30 years. In fact, we did mass deportations in the early 2000s. Even Obama deported about a couple 100,000 people a year. So
Why
that's
all
not-
of a sudden now everything, you want
It's-
to tighten up everything?
You know why? Because the border crisis has never been so bad. It used to be a couple hundred a day. Now it's 15,000 a day.
Okay, so it's about the severity, not really about...
It's both. I mean, I've always been a hawk on the border, but now it's reaching such a point where illegals are taking over schools in Chicago and New York, disenfranchising native-born American social services. And not to mention, the law is very clear. We have a process to come into this country, and they're deciding to break that law, which is a crime.
Okay, is there a better approach to this besides just shutting up the border?
Yeah, also have Mexico do it, which Trump did. Mexico could secure the border as well, and they're choosing not to.
Okay. Well,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks.
How you doing, sir?
I might have to go visit all those lunatics in a
I do
second.
apologize if I stutter. Not the best at public speaking.
That's okay. Thank you for coming up.
Of course. I was just going to ask, how do we morally deal with, because don't get me wrong, I am conservative. I do believe that illegal immigrants shouldn't come to the country and take up social welfare systems and all that. How do we deal with cases where they came here illegally, they had a child? Should we allow those parents to stay or allow that child to just have no,
It's
like,
a good
send the
question.
parents away?
Yeah, just deport the whole family back.
Even though the child has no connections, like to their family's home country.
Oh, so they were smuggled into the country?
No, born here. Like
Oh,
if the
well,
parents
if they're
came
born here, they
right.
stay because they're a U.S. citizen.
So I was
I think we
asking-
should get rid of birthright citizenship, but I don't get what I want. So
Charlie. Another issue on immigration. Immigration. This particular talk, it keeps going on and on and on. And thankfully, or rather because people have different wants and views on this, it will never actually reach a standstill. But I do agree with Charlie though. The numbers he's saying of people pouring into America, if that's on a daily, then that's a very bad thing. He said before it was in hundreds, but now 15,000 people crossing the border illegally. If it was even legal, if they pass through the right channel, maybe you'd be able to keep tabs on all of them. But the second speaker said something. He said, truthfully, there are a lot of bad people crossing the border. But there are also a lot of good people crossing the border who just want to contribute to the society they are coming in and, make a profit or a name for themselves that they can't do where they're coming from. But then I have this question to ask. How do you know the good people? And how do you know the bad people? There's no way to know them. It's not written on their faces. And just as he said, there are some people that don't really have the channels to actually come legally. He said, attributed to the corruption on the border, the funds is another thing. Do they have the money to process it? He said, in Mexico, for example, to cross the border is around 200,000 pesos. That's, according to him, more than a Mexican can ever make in a lifetime. So how do these people actually get to fulfill that dream of coming into America and making a living for themselves? As Charlie said, as a government, you have to put your people first. You shouldn't be playing the sympathy card all the time. And I quite agree with that. Because let's talk about how this massive numbers of people entering their country affect them as a country. Most of them coming in are within the age of the workforce, correct? And by the time they are in the country, the citizens of the country, the youth who are still in the school sector, by the time they're out looking for a job, what then? What if the workforce is so populated by immigrants that there are no jobs left for the citizens to do? And no one should say it can't happen, because at some point in history, we have seen times where people have had to literally chase immigrants out of their country. Both those that came legally and those that came illegally, they've had to purge them out of the country so that their citizens can have a right to live, if I'm to put it like that. And this is what Charlie's trying to say. They are too much. There are too many. Like that number crossing the border daily, illegally. It's amazing, if I'm to put it that way. Okay, around the world, people are going through a lot of things. People are not finding it easy. People are not finding it funny. But by the time you run from what is chasing you, and that thing keeps chasing you, you're going to bring it to the place you are going to get settled in. What do you do then? You keep running. As Charlie says, although he's being quite nonchalant when he's saying it, but there's actually truth in it. Go back and develop your country. I mean, just as that second speaker said, in places like Mexico, where the cartel is running the government, you either leave or stay there and die, There may be restrictions to what you can do in your hometown. But the truth is, the issue on immigration will never actually be settled, because no matter the measures they take, when human beings are pushed to the wall and the only resolve is to scale that wall, then they are going to scale it. That's the honest truth. You either take it or you leave it be. And if I'm to touch the first topic a bit on higher wage rate, every worker likes a little bit of promotion. As Charlie said, you want to have a home someday, you love to own a house, you love to own a car. And by the time your wages are so little that the only thing you can think of is just to have enough to survive, then what's even the point of it? What's the point of it? And so yes, he's pro higher wage rate. And the third speaker was more of talking about the good things some of these immigrants have brought in. And Charlie said, America was not founded on immigrants, it was founded on settlers. And he said the difference between immigrants and settlers, yeah? Immigrants come where, or they move to a place that is already developed so that they can harness from it. While settlers go to a place that needs development and they upgrade it. That's the difference. And he said America was built from settlers. Settlers brought America from the dust to what it is today. And according to him, the immigrants have no right whatsoever to come and harness these resources at the expense of the citizens. He says the American youth are not being put first, you know. There are a lot of complaints of the dangers of immigration. Not talk about the security aspect, you know, those guys coming illegally. As the second speaker said, how do you know? There are some that are good, there are some that are bad, but how do you know? How do you know the good ones? How do you know? That's the point of it. Anyway, guys, leave your comments in the comment section. And please leave a thumbs up at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.